Welcome back to a brand new episode of Private Parts with me, Liv Bentley. This is the podcast where nothing is off limits. And this week, as a cheeky bonus episode, we have got producer Nat on the sofa with me, where we will be discussing the industry, so TV, music, the works, and also those highly unsolicited dick pics. Welcome, Nat.
Woo! Let's do this. So what I've done, Liv, is I went away because I knew we were going to do this episode, and I thought I'd get you some stats, or get us some stats. To be fair, I was shocked by these actually because I was thinking that they'd be a lot healthier. But I got some stats about women that we can look through. So, for instance, 14% of all film directors are women. Only 14%.
That's mad.
In the world.
But why?
But then of course it is, because when do you ever see a film director win that is a woman? It's been years since I've seen that at the Oscars.
But is it because there aren't enough women going for those jobs, or it's because women don't do it as well as men? Is that what we're saying?
I don't know if it's just maybe there's more men that
I think there's just
films.
more men in that industry, in the industry.
Or I think that's why people like Reese Witherspoon set up production companies.
I heard this thing about Reese Witherspoon, that she buys the rights to all these books and then creates them into films.
Yep. And usually, and they're female writers, generally. Yeah, and most of her films are, I think Nicole Kidman said as well, she promised herself every year she'll do a female-led film written by women.
I quite rate that.
And then you push them forward and get them out.
Interesting.
It's
Nicole
weird,
Kidman, by the way, is making a serious comeback.
Yeah, what
And
work do you
really
think she's
niche
done?
sex scenes, by the way.
I haven't seen it.
I tried to watch. Have any of you watched
Baby
Girl? Okay, so I started it, and at the time I had such savage period pains, so I was a bit doped up on painkillers, and I was lying
also
there
not
in and
feeling
out.
sexy.
And I was watching this stuff with my sister. She goes, "What the fuck have you made us watch?" But it's niche. I mean, it's out there.
How niche though?
Niche. I mean, you need to watch it. I need to finish it, to be honest. I don't
Is
really
it like
remember.
fetish niche? Someone said she woofs.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, but I think at no age is a sex scene okay with your parents. No. Not if it's graphic.
Like, the thought of it is making me feel uncomfortable sitting
Yeah.
next to my dad watching a sex scene.
But can we just appreciate again isn't the Baby Girl storyline about a female boss?
Yeah.
See, there you go. That's exactly what we're talking about today. That's the opposite. I've got a theory, and I would like men to answer this, that I don't think if a female boss slept with, it's hard to say this, but kind of encouraged a younger guy to maybe engage like that and promote them, I don't know how many men would complain.
No, men wouldn't complain.
This is
and
the
also,
problem.
it wouldn't be frowned upon for that woman. Whereas
No.
a man, this is where actually I think it is unfair on men.
Yeah.
Because they get flack regardless. Whereas a woman, you probably won't.
Well, a guy, even if a guy was uncomfortable, I don't think any other men would let him go, guys, I feel really weird about that.
Yeah.
Because they'd all be like, get up, you
pussy. Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously in this film it's consensual, right?
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are probably men that have had experiences and they won't come forward.
Yeah. I wonder when all this will change.
Well, we said this the other day, didn't we? We're like, we're all women are like, protect our boundaries, don't touch us. Yeah. And then we go to like a Magic Mike and we're like,
lose our
grab his
minds.
dick.
Yeah. It's so shocking.
And it's like, no boundaries.
No, that's true though. 6% of music producers are female. Did you say that one? No.
6%.
6% of music producers.
Yeah, and that's from 2024. So, So when I was a producer, I remember doing a massive studio session once, and it started at 11 p.m, went on till 5 a.m. Most of them did back then.
Yeah.
And there was 7 guys in the studio that I was working with. 2 were artists. Not one of them could believe I was the studio producer and engineer.
Really?
They just were like, come on, clearly you're here to fuck.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no, guys, and no matter what I did, it just couldn't. I had to leave the session in the end because I was like, it just got too much, and like they were all drinking.
Do you think it's maybe worse specifically in the music industry?
I think it felt like it was more murky, like there was less rules.
I suppose because a big part of it is the social side. I think that's the other side that people forget is when you're working like TV and stuff, a lot of it is social. It's not like 9 to 5 office stuff. And like if you're out and about drinking, the lines get blurred very easily.
Yeah, and you can't call HR.
No.
Because another thing is when you're doing that, everyone around you is like, you're so lucky to be there though. Oh my God, you must be loving it. So you then almost can't go, I felt a bit weird though. Like I was a bit nervous.
Ungrateful,
Yeah. And in music, sex sells really well. So in a way, if female artists are encouraged to be sexy,
Sex sells across the board though, and this is
Across
really
the
bad
board.
to admit it. If my followers are going down, I'll whack up a bikini photo because I know it brings it back up again.
Absolutely.
And I'll do that.
Yep. Well, it's good that you own that though. Yeah. But even this,
I won't be doing it when I'm 60, but hopefully I won't still be
take
on
your shoes
Instagram when
off,
I'm
get your boobs
60.
out. They're not that saggy. That's
Take
not
my
funny.
shoes off and get my boobs out. That's outrageous. Probably true.
Yeah. Well, if they're that saggers, By the way, that leads on to the next stat that we've got, which is 85% of influencers are women.
But I would say social media is a female heavy.
Yeah. But is that because of the nakedness? Is that because that you commodify their bodies more?
I don't know. I think if you look at I look at majority of my mates, most blokes, unless they're like reality stars or influencers, not many of them are natural influencers. I think it's all off the back of TV. But any of my mates who don't use Instagram, whereas every girl does. Yeah. I mean, but as in like just my mates. But no, I think influencing is very much more women. Yeah,
and if a guy does do it, he can't do it in the way a woman does. I say that guy, whoever that guy is that's cleaning horse.
Oh, the farrier. He's everywhere.
No one's looking at the horse in the minute. I think all the comments were like, is there a horse in that video?
Nailed. But no, it's because
he's got like 1 million followers and it's just women.
Yeah, it is heavy on women.
So maybe it is nudity. Maybe it is sexual. But I think
it's women catering to other women. Like I was talking about this once, and it's women dress a certain way for other women. It's not for men, and it's the same with guys. Say that actually in the gym, they're looking buff for other guys, not in that way, but as in like, it's not.
Only a guy will be like, nice traps. Yeah. No woman's like, by the way, your triceps awesome.
I think I was talking about it. It was to do with porn, and I was saying how girls, it's intimidating for girls because no girl really looks like that, but actually guys are more intimidated by the other guy. Not, do you know what I mean? Like they're not watching it purely for the guy. If they see a guy who's like built and buff, that puts them off, and it's like the same with the girls looking at the girl. It's like, well, I don't look like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and do you know what as well, on that note, most guys I've ever met like a more natural girl. Yeah. In terms of like less makeup, maybe they're very encouraging of being like, don't have so much makeup on, or they don't really want over surgeried women. But then you look at just look at how a man will design, I don't know, like a porn avatar, or how he'll dress a blow up doll.
Avatar.
It's all fishnet. And like horrendous makeup and like, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If a guy had his way, I think we would be in fishnet all day long with nothing else on, and that would just be it.
Walking around with our boobs out.
Yeah, and not talking. I think that's another thing men want.
What, silent women?
Yeah, just don't moan anymore.
Gender pay gap in 2024: women earned on average 13% less than men.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That is a big thing, I think. 13% is, and that's part of like, they call it like motherhood penalty. Like women go off to have babies, so they take time out of work.
Do men take is it paternity?
Yeah, paternity, but it's only 2 weeks, I think. 2-3 weeks. So, and generally the mum is raising the baby more if they're breastfeeding, and they think that women get paid less because they do take time away to have children, which is a shame because you shouldn't be punished for that. No. But then it is a choice. It's hard on, isn't it? You could not have kids, strive for the top, make it to the top.
I go in waves. Part of me sometimes like, fuck this shit, I want to live in the countryside. Yeah. Pop a few children out, maybe become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Flog my ass out on the podcast and selling lube and vibrators.
Yeah. I think though that you're allowed to be all of those things. You're not.
But it is hard though. I think it is hard.
Yeah, I think people think that we can choose one, but actually there's a sacrifice somewhere for women.
But then I do think it's equally as hard on the men because I didn't ever realise this, and I speak about it a lot with like my friends and my siblings, and loads of people are like, oh, why is he not proposed? And then, but I always think in my head, or I don't always think, then you ask the guy and they're not thinking, it's not that they haven't, they're worried about money. And it's always about money because they know what's coming afterwards. Yeah. As in like, then the marriage, then the babies.
Yeah, I think men not being able to provide or feeling they can't provide really, really fucks up their mental health. I think it's still ingrained in us, like women are the nurturers and men are the hunter-gatherers.
Providers, yeah.
I do think that, because I think if I meet any guys or any of my friends who've ever gone downhill mentally, it's always been to do with providing or shame around providing and all of that. Yeah. But then again, women have it because you get mother's guilt. You can't, whatever you do, if you have a baby and go back to work, you're going to feel guilty. If you don't have a baby and you wanted kids, you're going to feel shit.
Oh, we just can't get it right. We've got
Can't
this all to look forward to.
Can't get it right, right? What's the last stat I was going to read you? Oh, yeah. Interesting one. Think about weekend primetime telly. There's not one big female host on one of the shows. So you've got Jonathan Ross, you've got Graham Norton, Michael McIntyre, you've got Gladiators with... Can you think of one with a female other than daytime? There isn't really one. That bugs me a bit.
Only my favourite. What's that one when they all take their clothes off?
Naked Attraction.
That's the one.
Come on.
What's her name? I love her.
Yeah, I love her. Damn it, Anna something.
Anna Williams. No.
Anna Richardson.
Anna Richardson. That is true. That is true, actually.
Do you know, I saw her the other day say that on quick side note on Naked Attraction that the guys fiddle with themselves so much that sometimes they have to cut shots because semen comes out of them.
What?
Bits of fluid flops out the knob.
Can we just talk about this for a minute? Firstly, what do they get out of doing it? Are they paid to do it?
I don't know. We've got to find this out. I think I'm going to go and find this out.
I saw a Daily Mail article.
Should we send a mole on the show?
I'm onto that Daily Mail way too much. And it said they wanted to do a celebrity version, but no one signed up. And I was like, shocking, really.
Obviously.
But
everyone's going to go, I know whose knob that is.
No, I know.
No, but honestly, I don't think... Well, unless you get naked for a living.
Wasn't there another show that did Ryland Clark do a show when they were all... Yeah, something,
what?
Love Island but naked. It was something quite niche.
But what's the aim? Is it just a shock or is it to make everyone okay with bodies?
Maybe everyone's be okay with bodies.
Because I don't think Naked Attraction's ever made me like the human body more. If anything, I feel more
violated.
I just don't want to see that amount of nakedness.
Oh, we were talking about this with unsolicited dick pics.
It's my favourite topic at the moment.
You love it. Nat mentions unsolicited dick pics weekly to me, and I used to receive them. No, I wasn't asking for them. People would send them to me on Instagram, and to the point that some of them were so aggressive.
It's not funny at all. It's not
but
funny.
I feel like now.
What do you mean aggressive? Sorry, explain.
Someone would send me videos of them just wanking down the lens, and I was like, "This is too much." And it was in the morning, and I'd have to just block them. But I think now Instagram's got a weird. There are now so many bits where all your messages.
Oh wait, that's a DM.
A DM on Instagram,
No,
and Rory's beside himself because he doesn't understand how random people can message me, and I was like trying to explain how Instagram works, and he was like, "But do you respond to them?" I was like, absolutely not. But I dread to think what the guys probably get a mass amount of naked girls.
Yeah. I think, but this is where we're going to get into it. I don't know. I think guys will love a nude no matter when you send it to them, and their theory is she will probably like this then.
But this is the
difference. Is that how else, or it's just a shot?
There's no. I don't think there is.
There's no good dick to send. I've got to be honest. No, knobs out of context. There's a knob out of context is one of the worst things to see as a woman. If you're trying to clean, you're in Sainsbury's, the last thing I need to see is a raging knob out of context. Get out of it. Or a wank, like chat roulette. I'm just going to go into it quickly.
Does chat roulette still exist?
Anyone that listens to this, I hope someone played chat roulette when they were young, because we'd be like 11
and get on it.
And you'd get on it, and it's all.
What is
fun.
it? You just chat to randoms.
Yeah, you spin the roulette, and it lands on a person, and it could be like some fun people from like Italy, or it was just an old man like ravenously wanking into the cam, and I just don't know why that was okay. Anyway,
I think the fact that you're
11 obsessed with this topic.
Very not okay.
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
I had one.
It could be your brother, your dad.
Oh no, don't.
There's a knob out of context somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a knob out of context near
Have
you.
you been caught with your knob out?
If you see one, say no and phone.
Oh god.
Yeah. Would you name and shame?
What if someone sent me one?
Like, say you received one, and it was like someone you know's. Some like ex or a brother, would you be like, what are you doing?
I would shame them. I wouldn't put it on my story going, look at this geezer. I had a bloke once who the premise of him sending this photograph was he wanted to be shamed, and he was standing there naked. It was the setup of the image was rather rogue. I wish I could find it. Anyway, he basically wanted me to shame him, and I was like, it's obviously some strange thing that he's into.
I mean, that's red flag run a mile, isn't it?
It's a bit much, isn't it?
I think wanting to be shamed and wanting to be like walked on and pissed on and all of these guys, I'm like, it's usually like CEOs.
What was I talking about the other day? And it's normally actually like posh people are into weird things.
Oh my God, was it us talking about the army thing?
Oh
no,
yeah,
let's
no, we
not.
spoke about
No.
this, but no, but
What posh people?
I don't know that just like wealthier people are supposedly slightly roguer in that area. Like they like these sort of sex parties and
Do you
stuff.
think that's because they've got more time
Time, money,
and access?
Oh,
If you think about like how they could probably spend all week off their tits getting into it.
oh,
There's plenty of knobs out of context there.
oh God.
But yeah,
Way
I think
too
that
many.
I just want, if there's any guys listening, can we just get some ideas of what's the thought process when you send one?
And also, what
do you want
It's
back?
just but it's when like it's like on Instagram though. In all seriousness, what is the benefit of someone sending a dick pic? Because I wonder if it's just to shock people.
It's got to be it's got to be a combination, isn't it? It must be.
Because realistically, would I reply going, "Cool, hello, big boy"? Like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
In my wildest dreams.
No way. Is that yours?
Yeah. Like what?
That is so hot. Is that yours?
That voice.
But I think that's like when you get, I don't know when you were young, I got told like, if you got wolf whistled, it's like, enjoy it while you're young, one day it'll stop. And it's like, there's just these really gross men like, oi, love, you're right down there. And you're like, I want that to stop.
Yeah. I quite like it.
Because what do they expect you to go, what, you?
Thanks.
Are you free now?
I like the odd wolf whistle. It means I'm not looking too buttless, I guess.
Yeah. If they don't catch you at a bad point when like, the wind's blowing in every direction, then as long as you don't get a dick pic after, you're fine.
I want to start from your career from the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so I do podcasts at the moment and TV, but I started off in music.
Yeah.
So I was signed really young, 18.
And you're a singer?
I was a singer and a songwriter.
That's
It
mental.
feels weird saying it now because it's like another lifetime. But I was signed early to like a big American label.
Fuck,
but
that's mega.
It was mega. And I thought I like obviously went straight to my head because I was like 18 and it was a demo of mine had just been passed on and got to the right people.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
There was nothing else. So it felt like a dream.
What? So you got picked up by this label and then what? Recorded some stuff?
Recorded lots of bits, and we were recording. We had a track sent to us that were being recorded for Rihanna that I was going to hopefully write, and there was
Aged
tracks with
18?
Maroon 5, 18. Yeah, it all felt like a dream. And now I look back, there was a few red flags in it, and which is why I ended with them in the end, because this was quite a while ago, over 10 years ago. So back then, my manager was 38 and I was 18.
Right.
And he was great. We were making lots of songs, and I was working on my first album, and they wanted me to be like a Pixie Lott.
Okay.
And I thought I was more like an FKA Twigs, really cool singer. No one saw that. So I was like, okay, we're going to clash here. So I thought I'd just songwrite for artists.
Yeah.
That felt more cool. And then it culminated, and this was the first time I realised what it's like being a woman. And the only reason I'm mentioning this, we were going to a writing trip in LA, and my manager at the time, who again was 38, said to me, unfortunately the hotel only has one room left, and it's a double bed. I'm not laughing at that. It's the fact that, like, in what world?
Mean?
What, the only hotel in LA? Yeah, he said there's only one bed, and we're going to have to share a bed. And I was like, and I'd met his wife, his kids, and my parents trusted him. Everyone trusted this guy around me.
I'm assuming you didn't go and share a bed with him.
I had the instinct to say, oh, that's a shame because I needed to bring my older brother as a chaperone.
Okay, good thinking.
And he flipped. That was it. He flipped and he said, if you can't go on your own, your people will think you're an absolute fucking idiot. What, you need to take your brother? What, you can't go anywhere on your own? No one in the industry will take you seriously. You're an embarrassment. I think I'll just drop you if this is the case. So it was staying in bed with him. I'm actually
shocked. Sorry, what, seriously?
Stay in a bed with him or be dropped by the label.
And I'm assuming you walked away after that from him.
Yeah, walked away. And then he wrote to nearly every producer I worked with, cancelled all my music, blacklisted my name, said I wasn't serious. God knows what he said about me because, he was weird. And he looked after, he had a few people that, I know that he worked directly with quite a few of the big artists there.
Did anything ever come out about him later on?
Later on, I heard from another girl who I won't name just for her protection that she had a meeting with him and lots of top people. And this is awful, he requested that she come to the meeting without knickers on and a short skirt. And she did.
I don't know why I'm so shocked. It sounds awful. You hear these stories all the time, but that's so...
Because you should be, because it shouldn't be okay. It shouldn't be okay that this was common things that happened. And she went she did go because that she was promised something, and this is where it's horrible. And when she got there, she sat in this meeting with 3 men, and he then looked at her and said, "Have you got no knickers on?" And she said, "Yeah." And he went, "Why the fuck would you turn up to a meeting like that, you dirty slut?" And told her to leave the meeting.
I'm like not smiling, but that's
really bad. Really bad.
Jesus Christ.
So it kind of, I parted ways with them after that, obviously, because luckily I had a weird strength that I just knew it was bollocks.
Yeah.
I didn't think I had to do any of that to get past anyone.
When was this? Was what, 10 years ago? More than 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Do you think that...
And I know that guy still exists now, and he's been shamed by other people, I think, since the time. But obviously, libel laws, I won't be talking about that. But that was my first entrance into our industry as a woman, and
Do you think it's still... Because I know it's so interesting. Do you think it still happens now? To that extent?
I don't know. I think there's more protection for women. I think women can call things out more and whistleblow, and you don't get shamed for that.
Yeah.
But back then, if you did say anything, you either were considered not tough enough, or you weren't ready for the industry. It did feel like
18
you had to take
years
on.
old. I don't think anyone's got a thick skin at that age.
No, I don't think they did. But that's probably why that's
prey on the young.
Yeah. Whereas I think if you get a really good team around you. Because there's loads of great men in the industry, loads. And and ones I worked with after that were brilliant. But there's a couple of rotten eggs that spoil.
What did your parents say?
I didn't tell them at the start that happened. Because the problem was, my parents didn't agree with the industry I was going into.
What, they just thought it was a negative?
They thought it was like vacuous, like bullshit, and people that want to be famous and sing, it's all just a weird world. Like, why would you go there? So for me to have an experience like that, I felt like I was proving to them that the industry was what they thought it was.
Yeah.
And then I felt like that was going to affect me.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell them. I just told my friends, and then I just thought, right, I'll just come back and get my next thing, and then my parents won't notice. Which is horrible, because you should obviously say to your parents, this is bullshit, and they're trying to have sex with me.
Yeah, that is shocking. That actually really is. What's here? So right, so that happened, and then what did you do after music?
Then after music, so then I got with a good music team actually that were really great, and I was working with lots of artists and people that were brilliant, and that was fun. That felt like I came back, and then I went into radio. So Radio 1 went extra, and everyone there was brilliant. Like lots of really fun times, lots of fun shows, like daytime shows, evening shows, playlisting music, and obviously you get a few weird situations that happen anywhere you go, but as a whole it was brilliant there because everyone looked after everyone.
Yeah.
And you felt like you were a family. And since then I've not noticed any. It's weird. I think I don't want to say masculine, but I think as a woman in our industry you have to have a masculine energy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
You almost have to flop your dick on the table.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to be quite punchy.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very... not overrun by men. I don't want this to sound like we're bashing men.
There's lots of great guys in the industry. I think that it's weird. I think the shows I've produced and created on my own, I think there's been barriers and glass ceilings you have to break, but I've done it by just being more aggressive.
Yeah.
Which then you have to remember, then you're going to get called a bitch.
This is the problem, right? Because or like not hormonal, but I mean, there are times that even I sort of feel like I'm actually just standing up for myself, but then I'm like, they probably think I'm just being a bitch. But I'm not.
Yeah. When you leave the room, you have to expect people to be like, what a bitch.
But then with blokes, they're kind of like praised for it. They're like, oh, what a legend.
Yeah, I know. If guys are assertive and they run a show really well and they know what they're doing, they're like legends. If a girl does it, she's irritated, she's annoying. And I think as well that you have to contend with the fact that not like women are more, well, you get called emotional straight away.
Yeah.
And then you're not taken seriously because people think you're emotional.
Yeah.
And then you've got to contend with the fact that there are more men at the top.
Yeah.
So when you're in a room, the amount of meetings I've had, the amount of jobs I'm on now where I'm the only girl in the room.
Really?
Yeah. And men naturally will only consider their experience, just like women firstly consider a female experience.
Yeah.
And you have to just find the balance.
It was interesting actually, you just said that when Sarah Packer said last week, she finds it unnatural to side with the man, which is so true actually. Yeah. You automatically would as a woman. Yeah. You would side with the woman.
But then again, saying that, there are great guys in the game and there are bad women in the game.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't tell you I completely side all the time with certain women because I think women can be just as bad as men in how they stop and prevent people getting jobs and jealousy and It's competitive.
Such a vicious world.
It's competitive, yeah.
What would your advice be then to someone who's 18 trying to get into the music industry? What would you say to them?
Music industry, I think, find a good team early and and find someone that's been doing it a long time to mentor you.
Yeah.
Then they've hopefully walked the pitfalls that you won't fall down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Find an older artist or find an artist that you love and look at the team that's around them, the management around them, and then go towards them. That's if you want to be an artist. If not, again, find someone in the industry that's doing it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like when you do film and TV. Like one of the things I used to do when I was coming up was I'd look at who made shows that I loved.
Yeah.
And then message them, say, can I come along and shadow? And you have to be willing to work for free and willing to like just go in and be a sponge.
Yeah.
Don't be entitled at the start, especially not as a girl.
Be the runner.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Go make the teas and shut up.
Okay, and then producing, and now you're mainly you just do producing a podcast.
Yeah, mainly producing and writing TV. That's it.
Writing TV. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
TV shows like the Big Nasty show I wrote, or like entertainment shows where you write for the comedians on the panel.
See, I always wonder this.
And it happens on every panel show, you know.
Who have you written jokes for?
Oh, we've written jokes for Big Nasty, Mo the comedian, any guest that came on the shows. You've got like, we had Mel B come on, Carol Vorderman, like you write segments for everyone that comes on, and then you pick and choose which ones to use, and it's really fun. Until sometimes they're not happy, but then it's funny. It's more funny because a TV show is like 2 hours long.
Yeah,
and only 45 minutes goes out.
You're telling me I've done Season Made in Chelsea for 5 hours and it's fucking 2 minutes on screen, honestly. Yeah. And I watch it back and I say, well, I didn't say that. I said a whole hour of shit.
There you go. So, okay, so your experience then with like people behind the scenes on your shows, how many women are normally there behind the scenes?
We have there's a lot actually. Like
That's good.
The series producers are women, have always been women. I mean, there's been the odd
great.
guy, yeah, but there's a lot of women, and even the like day-to-day producers are women. But it's like a nice weird family. Like I remember when I left and I said this to them, I actually missed the production team more than I missed the cast. I was like, I miss hanging out with you guys. Because like, when you go to filming, it's like really nice. You just hang out, chat. The majority of the crew are men, but yeah.
No, but it's not. I think that's how it should be. It should feel like a family.
Yeah.
And when you finish a season of something, it's so nice. The rap party, everyone's like, "Oh, we did it."
No, it is really nice. It is nice working with like a good little team. But I mean, any show I've done, it's always been quite nice. But what I've liked is any other show I've done, there's always been a producer who's either done Chelsea or something else. Like I've always known someone.
Yeah. So when you did Celebs Go Dating.
Yeah. Who did I have when I did Celebs? I can't remember, but even that was really fun.
Actually, what was the team like on Inside?
Weirdly, my first ever producer on Made in Chelsea was my producer on that.
Oh,
so when we were on
amazing.
Inside, The Voice was this guy called Jack, and he listens to this. So shout out to Jack because Come
on, Jack.
Jack's also this. Never mind, it's different shit. But no, so whenever The Voice would shout, "Olivia, don't do that," I'd be like, "Oh, piss off, Jack!" And
really?
Like, you can't call me that. Yeah.
Oh, see, again, it's a small world.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think we're in a time where it's better. Like, I think although you hear lots of shit in the news about people that make mistakes, we'll probably get into that. But I think generally they're very few.
What, dodgy people?
I think so.
I mean,
it's not the noughties or the 90s anymore where it was like Jerry Springer.
No, but I mean, like I had a dodgy experience with a producer. He wasn't even a producer on a show I had done. He was older and he'd done a film or something with someone else. And he was pretty weird with me.
Really?
And I was like, it was at a dinner.
What do you mean weird?
Well, we'd gone for a dinner. I mean, he was a parent, like he had a kid my age, I think, a daughter. And we were sitting outside having a cigarette and he was trying to convince me to get into acting. And I was like, I don't want to do acting. I'm like, I didn't do Made in Chelsea to be an actress, which is interesting because so many people always ask that. Anyway, this guy was like, he put his hand on my leg and he was like putting his hand up my skirt. It was awful. I mean, I'm smiling about it now, but it was shocking. And I mean, luckily at the time...
What, whilst telling you should be an
actor? Yeah. And he was like, you should ring me sometime. And I was like, rank. And then I remember I stood up. He stood up. He was obviously fucked. And he fell over. And I remember just thinking, this is just a disgrace. Like, it was awful. I always wonder, like, how many girls probably have gone for that.
Oh, God.
And that's the problem. It's such a hard world. This is where it's tricky, though, because the girls who don't say no encourage that behaviour. And then because they encourage it, men don't realise that no's an option. And it's really hard because then I think there are some women who are like, we're all standing together trying to prove a point against this kind of thing. But then there are some women who let us all down so quickly by agreeing to it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they agree to it or whether they feel pressured into it. But then again, if they don't come forward.
But do you not think we're in a time now where, I mean, I'm trying to work out, I don't think I've ever really like used my I was going to say sexuality to my advantage, but yeah, I haven't, and I can't.
No, I think women do. We probably have a bit of an advantage where you can get away with things if a guy fancies you, for instance, on a job, I guess he's going to give you lots of opportunities, isn't he? I guess that's the way it goes.
But it's whether you fulfill the whatever.
Yeah, and then it's like at what price?
Yeah.
But again, you find lots of allies in guys on the because you and me always talk about this, how we love guys, not like that, but we know that they get in a bad rap, and that is because there's a few out there that keep doing it and keep making it hard. Yeah. And then the good guys that you know are the ones that are left to pick up the pieces. Yeah. Because they're the ones that have to answer to it. They're the ones that have to go, I wonder why this is happening, and like dissect it. And I just think it's such a shame because there are some great guys out there that are getting like bunched together with these really bad guys. Yeah. And there's women out there that, like you say, make it harder. I mean, I hear horror stories about the 90s and noughties where it was just one big orgy. I think our industry was just one big orgy.
Sex-fueled. I think that's probably why my parents...
Sex, drugs and rock and roll.
I know, I always think...
And no one regretted it. Not that they did. Some people didn't.
Do you know anyone who furthered their career by doing or being?
Yeah, I couldn't say names. I know quite a few people that have absolutely
slept their way to the top,
loved it, don't regret it, and they're happy and thriving.
Really?
Yeah. And then I know some girls who've had one awful experience and they've gone away and never come back, and that's really sad because then they're so talented and you just think, oh my god, I'm really gutted you had that experience.
Because that's like
that's where
there was a girl on X Factor.
Yeah.
So what actually happened?
There was a girl on X Factor that had she got assaulted, I think, on one of the shows after. Did she leave music altogether? I think she disappeared for a while. She did come back in the end, and she came back and she released it. But that whole like the media attention on the X Factor and everything, and I don't think they could admit what had happened to her. But it obviously scarred her, and she just went flying off.
See, that's awful.
Yeah, I think that's where I don't even want to say thick skin, because I don't even want to be like, you can either hack it or you can't, because that shouldn't happen. Yeah. You shouldn't have to hack that.
No, you definitely
shouldn't have to go, oh, well, I might get assaulted at work today. That'll be fine, and I'll go back
when you
tomorrow.
say that out loud, that sounds shocking.
Yeah. And yeah, you shouldn't have to do that. But at the same time, it's almost like getting through that part. Yeah. Or hopefully coming out unscathed.
Yeah,
but in saying that, fearless.
Not that you should ever experience that, but one does have to be quite thick-skinned. Like even when Fred was saying, obviously it's completely different, but with like Chelsea, you have to be quite thick-skinned to put yourself in a position where you will get trolled, you will get a lot of hate, and it is competitive. Because I think my mum once turned to me and she said, I'm so worried that you're going to get so hard or so firm that you'll forget to actually be ever emotional. And it was, I remember she wrote me this card once, and it said on the front of the card, this is a safe space to cry. Because I went through a period where I stopped crying. It wasn't because of Made in Chelsea, but I think I was like I was just in such a mindset to just make just be strong, that I forgot it was actually all right not to be.
I think that's one of the main things as well that you guys have to handle that we don't, because we're not in front of the camera, that I can sit with you somewhere knowing I could have made that show you're on, done everything that went into it, and not one person in that pub will come up to me and give me any hate or give me any love at the same time. But you are on the show, so you probably have that fear, like, God, is someone going to say something to me one day? Or
do you think that's quite a weird thing? That do you think that people that you don't get the recognition you almost should do? Does that make sense? Because I suppose that's true. People in the front of the cameras always are the ones who are known, but then the ones behind the scenes don't ever seem to get the
this is it,
praise, I suppose, because you're not known.
I think you have to be, if you're a writer or a producer or maybe not in film, because I think in film directors and that get quite a lot of love, but if you're doing it, you have to reconcile the fact you're not in front of the camera. Yeah. So if that is what you want to do and you want people to go, I love you, go in front of the camera. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I get people saying, I love you because you're a booze hound. I'm like, yeah. I always get men in vans going, Bentley. And I'm like, I think they think I'm in the pub chugging pints every night. I think that's what they think I do.
We've got to take Liv to a Wetherspoons one night and just go large it up.
I actually love a spoons.
Yeah, I love a spoons as well. A whole, you get 50 drinks for about £4.
We have where I used to live in Henley, there was a Wetherspoons, and I made friends with everyone, the local policewoman. I was in there doing the rounds.
Because we're always in there.
Yeah, and I was like, if I ever get in trouble, I need your help.
I think as well with you, one of the main things I love when I joined this show a couple of months ago is everyone I speak to about you, because I don't obviously watch Made in Chelsea frequently, which I think works.
I thought you were an avid fan.
No, I think it works.
Actually, I haven't been on
it. It works because every time I speak about you to people, everyone loves you. Which I know you probably don't understand, but they do. Everyone's like, Bentley's a legend.
But I don't know where this Bentley's come from. Bentley.
Big old Bentley. I think, people like that you, they love that you're relatable. Because you make mistakes, you come back from them, you've had breakups, you've been in love, you've started businesses. You do what everyone does, and that's why people love you.
Well, thank you.
Honestly.
Now sell my lube. Have you worked with anyone in the past that you firstly thought was a bell end and secondly thought that I'm not going to work on that again because I don't like them?
Yeah.
Can you name and shame anyone?
Oh, I can't name and shame some people, but there was one, I don't want to even do this because I really like her in general, but it was a woman, actually. It was okay, can we bleep her name out if I say it? And she came on a show I did and was just a nightmare.
Really?
A nightmare. She was erratic. She wouldn't hold, she just kept not sticking to the script, which in a way you wanted from her, but at the same time it made it extremely hard. And then she kind of got a bit annoyed, and I felt like I didn't write her segment, and someone that did clearly hadn't done a lot of research into her, which was really unfair. Yeah. So they asked her very stupid questions that she got irritated by. Okay, that's another thing, by the way. If you get guests on a show, do your research. Yeah. Never let them come on.
Who do you think can be trickier to work with, men or women, or is it very dependent on the person?
Well, even like Sarah Packer mentioned, like David Walliams the other day. He when he came in, I had him come on a show, and he just wouldn't look any of us in the eye. Made a point of not looking any of us in the eye, and it's just strange because you're.
But do you think he was always like that, or do you think over these he just thinks that he's suddenly become so much better?
I don't know what it is. I reckon he was always I think he's always maybe playing a character in his mind, or maybe it was at the peak of fame. Yeah. And they're like, I don't need to be nice. But I say that, and I
always find that interesting with people who have been like, they have had like an incident where there's something bad's been written about them, or they've been shamed for something, and then have the cheek to still behave like that. You're like, well, hang on, you're actually not in anyone's good books. You should turn that puppy around and start being liked again.
I think you're right. I think actually it could be a mixture of both. But my general experience is the bigger they are, like we had Janet Jackson come in.
Oh my God.
And lovely.
Really?
It's like when they're hugely big, like actually, icon big.
People do say this.
It's like they're more calm. It's usually their team around them that are the crazy ones. Like I did a job once where we had a really big artist coming in, and we were told don't look them in the eye.
What?
Change the toilet seats. What?
You're joking.
Let's change toilet. We need plants put in. We need plants put around. They want plants everywhere. They want this type of food. They want only this type of water. Take the labels off the water. They want sushi. They want salad.
How do you get to a point where you're demanding labels off water bottles? Like that is mental.
Yeah. And then when they came, they were the loveliest person ever. They didn't touch the food. They sipped any water. They happily went to the toilet, and they were just really happy to be there. And it was obviously like this 10-man team who need to be on the payroll. I think. Yeah. Who need to be like, I folded your serviettes, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So generally, I always think in my experience now, I cut straight to the artist or cut straight to the talent.
Yeah.
Usually don't go through the teams unless you know the teams are cool.
Interesting.
Like with you. Like if you didn't have an agent who we know. Sack off your agent. If you didn't have a team, I would have probably messaged you about doing something and then find out if you're keen.
Yeah.
And then go to the...
Who's the biggest name you've ever worked with?
Oh, gosh, the biggest name. We had Ricky Gervais come on, do it, something for Comic Relief we did. We've had... Who else came on some of my shows? I'd say Mel B was probably up there with me for one of my biggest ones. Mega. Janet Jackson. We had Drake come in.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, lots of music artists have been my kind of thing, but not anyone... I really want to meet like a big actor, like a big actor.
Brad Pitt?
I want to meet, Brad Pitt. I want to know if people are as bad as people say they are, or if they're nice. I think they're probably nice.
I would imagine they're probably nice. Yeah. I can't work because was it Sarah Packer? No, she wasn't saying about influencers. No, she was saying influencers were tricky. Reality stars are nice.
But what was her justification for that? I couldn't remember.
That influencers just sit there on their phones.
Oh, yeah.
But I I find reality stars, they're just a rare breed, aren't they? Like, it's easy for me to I don't know how to explain it, but like, I'll go to events and it's like every reality star under the sun, and you get some people who are so sweet and friendly, and then you get some people who think they are like Beyonce, and I stand there going, are you joking? And I did a job once with a girl, and it was like she was Rihanna. And I sat there thinking,
what the hell though?
You were on TV for 5 minutes and now you're acting like this.
That's crazy though. And I bet Rihanna doesn't act like that. I mean, she doesn't act like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you find reality stars I always find them quite real and quite raw.
Some of them are great. Like, I remember once, but it's an interesting thing because I think, well, from my experience, whenever I've met like some of the people from Towie, you even though you don't know anyone personally, you seem to know each other. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Lydia Bright at a festival.
Oh, nice.
She couldn't have been friendlier, and she was like, oh my god. And I was like, hi. Let's bleep her. Well, it doesn't really matter. She was a nice thing, but it was just so nice. And I was like, oh my god, it's like we all have like some weird connection.
Well, I think you've had such a unique experience of being on shows that blew up before everyone had social media.
Yeah. I can't work out. Do you think reality TV... Have you ever worked on reality TV?
No, I did watch it though. When like Towie and Men in Chelsea first came out, I watched it.
There was
nothing else. Like, it was Channel 4, it was massive.
Yeah.
You couldn't follow people on Instagram and find out what people got up to.
Yeah.
It was only you guys and the Kardashians, and I still think the Osbournes was the most iconic.
I never watched
one.
the Osbournes.
Oh God, Liv, it's so up your street.
Really?
Yeah. They are unhinged. The next thing, Liv, I think we should talk about is bad behaviour. Oh my God, that was such an awful segue.
No,
but
that's good.
What's bad on the set? Like, what that happened to you is bad.
I'm trying to...
But did you flag it?
What, with this random guy? Well, he wasn't in a show I'd ever worked. He was a film producer, sorry. Did I flag it to him? Yeah.
Did you flag it to anyone in like management or anything?
No, because they weren't, it wasn't on a TV show I've done. He was just a random guy that was Friends, who produced a Friends film.
Interesting.
So it wasn't in a show. No, if something ever happened on TV, I'd 100% say something.
I think that lately though, we're seeing a lot of stories, aren't we? Like Gino, Greg Wallace, kind of men that have behaved badly on set. And it's a really hard one.
What is hard though, I think, is that
Schofield.
I don't know how, because like with Gino, is a lot of it must have. I don't know how. Like, if you're there with a full-on group of people and you're on a set, I don't get like the odd comment, but I mean, hey, it must have been pretty horrific what was going on for it to have come to this. Because has Gino essentially been cancelled now?
I don't know what cancelled means anymore, but I do know that. I'm sure there's a bit of truth in both. I'm sure he was encouraged to be a bit outrageous because it got TV ratings, and there was a time and a place where it was a different time.
But that's where, what I mean.
It was accepted.
But is it?
But I'm sure there were people that were uncomfortable as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Because
it does.
I can tell you now, if you're a runner or a researcher or someone that's lower than management, if you complain about the presenter's behaviour, you'll be taken off that job, not them.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time when you wouldn't be heard and you would be taken off a show, like that, because you're less.
But do you think that's
you're less collateral damage
now?
For them than taking off the big host that's going to bring in the listeners?
But that's what I mean. It's like, I wonder now what suddenly happened, because how long supposedly has this stuff with Gino gone on for?
I don't know. It seems, again, because he's not said anything. I don't know if we're just getting one side of the story.
Yeah.
But apparently years.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It would have to be quite a long time coming. It can't have just been one odd comment for him to compete, because he's lost his job now, hasn't he?
Well, he's lost stuff, I think, on ITV, but I don't know if... It's hard to know whether he's lost everything, but it's like Schofield. Schofield seems to have lost everything. But again, it's hard, isn't it? Because it's like, it's not illegal.
Yeah.
Some of it's not illegal, but it's a moral compass. And I do think that if a set encourages madness...
You're going to get
like,
madness.
Get your tits out, get your knobs out. And it's all like, wah, and then 10 years later, someone's like, by the way... It's really weird that you did that.
Yeah.
I don't know who's at fault. I think it's part production companies, part celebrity, part all of them.
Yeah.
It's like it takes a village to make a show.
It's unfortunate that, like, I mean, I don't know the ins and the outs of this, but the only person who is physically shamed or publicly shamed is Gino, obviously, because he's the celebrity in this. But I wonder if
in the background.
Any production company would ever take, not blame, but say something like, we wanted him to be this cheeky chappy that everyone sees.
I think someone's just got to go, look, it was a different time. It was okay back then. Like, we were not okay, but we were creating shows and we were creating chaos and there was mayhem, but there wasn't really I think there was no line.
Yeah.
Whereas now, it's part of me feels the line's too far the other way. Where now
I
you can't,
agree with
you're
that.
scared to say anything.
Yeah.
But I say that, and then I'm like, do you know what? I don't know, because I've never been accused of doing anything weird. I know loads of guys that haven't, who are great. So maybe it's like, maybe they do need to be shamed. Maybe if you do cross the line, you should just go.
I just think where people need to not get better, and I haven't been in the situation, so I don't know, but I think when someone behaves badly is you have to call them out for it then and there. Otherwise they're not going to learn, because I think what happens is instead of someone shaming that person, they go to other people and talk about it. So that person doesn't actually know, and then suddenly they're like banged with all this stuff, and it's like, hang on, do you know what I mean? I don't think people are great at calling people out straight off the back for stuff.
I think so. I think as well that we have to be careful with what we're encouraging, what we're not encouraging, and put the boundary in early. Like if someone did what Gino allegedly did to me, I'd be like, fuck off. Immediately. Go away, I'm trying to do my job.
How? But seriously, what was the worst thing he did? Said inappropriate comments?
Inappropriate comment, I think, got his...
I think it's mostly for runners.
Exactly. That's the power. Sorry, that's the thing we need to talk about, power imbalance. If there's a power imbalance, I think hold fire, because that is wrong. Because they're on there, and they're buzzing, and they're new, and they're like, oh my God, and it might be their first time around a celebrity.
Yeah.
Then you get that celebrity be like, say something inappropriate or just cross the line, and then you're then in a lawless swamp where you're like,
okay,
is this okay? Is this bad?
If there's anyone listening who wants to be a runner, what would you recommend them they do if they're in a situation where they're working with a celebrity who's treating them quite badly? What's their best option?
Flag it immediately.
Really?
Flag it immediately.
Even at the risk of them potentially losing the job?
Yeah, because I think today, because of all this coming out, I think it's getting better. I think people are more protected. I would encourage anyone to just flag it and not put up with any behaviour in that job that you wouldn't put up with in your real life.
Yeah. Seriously.
And if it does mean you lose your job, you're better off. That's not the job you want.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's like you wouldn't encourage someone to date someone that's a complete arsehole.
Yeah.
So don't work in a place where you're going to get treated like shit or feel like you're diminished and made to be putting up with things where you're compromised.
Yeah.
And on that note,
on that note, we've got some listeners' confessions. Okay, this week's listener confessions are female confessions in all forms. Okay, I sent flowers on National Sex Workers Day. Firstly, let's stop ourselves there. Since when on earth is that a national day?
Do you remember we used to do stat of the week?
Yeah.
Stat.
Every week, stat of the week.
National Sex Workers Day. We'd have to look that up.
I sent flowers on National Sex Workers Day with a joke card that made increasingly loud sex noises when opened to my husband's mistress at her place of work. I don't feel guilty and I highly recommend it. That is brilliant and hilarious, and I fucking rate whoever wrote this in.
By the way, hell hath no fury. Like a woman scorned.
That's
but
see, this is my vibe, right? I would do the whole revenge and karma thing. Yeah. Or not karma, but revenge. 100%. I would fuck with them. Because I know everyone's. You do hear funny stories of women managing to really catch their husbands out when they've been caught cheating.
Do you think women are more petty than men in our revenge tactics?
Probably, yeah. But I would do the whole thing like putting hair removal cream in their shampoo and really fucking with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, spray paint in the car.
Yeah.
No, it's too far. But National Sex Workers Day and a card congratulating her on being a sex worker.
That's like that horrible thing, and thank God I'm not familiar with the tube, but remember when people sent those videos round to each other and you press it and it's the porn noises and you get it on the tube? Yeah.
What the hell?
I'm a stay-at-home mum with 3 kids, and I can't even count how many times I've had to repeatedly say, yes, it's my choice. My husband didn't make me do this. And I've taken a pause in my career that I will continue when my youngest is in school. I can be a strong feminist and still want traditional roles at home.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
That is true. I think
100%.
we emphasise too much with women about going out to work and having it all. I think if the choice is yours to stay at home, then that is progression.
Yeah, but then also I think what's quite hard is that like I understand the wanting to stay at home and have kids thing, and I want kids, but I don't want to stay at home forever and have kids. Like I want to be able to try and do both, but I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'd love to know like how many people really can do it all.
And also, what do you think of women that go out to work and the guy stays at home?
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's up to you.
It's choice, isn't it?
I think also if you find the right partner where one of you wants to do it and one of you don't, or
I do. I think the thing as well to highlight is it's the shaming. It's the women going, oh God, you stay at home.
I see this all the time, the mum shaming, and like Instagram's ferocious for it. And like I follow loads of women who've recently had babies, and the shit that they get on their Instagrams is out of control.
Yeah. Like if they have one glass of wine.
Or like if they go away on holiday without their child, people go mad about it.
What is it mainly women shaming women?
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't think men shame new mothers because they've got no fucking idea. I mean, I've got no idea, but I don't. It's very much women thinking they know best.
I just think, like, God, like anyone needs that on top of being
I know,
a new,
and I think being
mum.
a new mum who's trying their fucking hardest, trying to get it all right, and then have some bellend from Blackpool commenting underneath.
Yeah, Blackpool.
Yeah, I don't know why I
Stop
shame
breeding
Blackpool.
bellends.
I have no idea.
I'm joking. Okay, this is what the last one did. We've got one of our listeners from Private Parts has sent us a voice note.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's called Lucinda. That's all
Okay.
I'll say. And she's a massive fan of the show, which I love because I think we should get more voice notes.
Yeah, I love
more
a
real
voice note.
people talking. Let me play it out. Okay, this is what she sent in to us the other day, and she said we can read this out.
I wanted to send a voice note because I've got a really grim story that I think would be funny on the pod. So when I would have been around 2020, I think, I was a mental health student nurse and I was on placement in the community and had my own house. I was a bit of a party girl, had a bit of an after party at mine and it lasted till about 6 a.m. Then maybe slept for an hour, had a shower, went into work and oh my God, I was so hungover that I still went to work, always went to work. Anyway, went into the office. My mentor at the time picked me up and off we went for a day of visiting patients in the community.
Oh my God.
Now, at the time, it was peak summer and it was super, super hot. And his
can't work out where
aircon
the
had
fuck this is
broken.
going.
So we were pulling up to some flats and my mentor was like trying to reverse into a spot and it was stop, start, stop, start. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. And then this hot air was blowing at me in his car and I thought, yeah, I'm finished. And I felt it rise and it came up and out and I didn't know what to do. I was belted into the car and I had nothing. So I just held my hands out into a bowl shape and proceeded to literally vomit into my hands. And then I didn't know what to do. So I had no hands and I was strapped into the car. So what does a girl do? I ate it.
Oh, no.
She ate it. And then my mentor, who he must have smelt the alcohol on me, but he proceeded to say, I'm so sorry, I had garlic last night, lots of garlic for my dinner. And I was like, bro, I wish it was that. I said to him, I'm so hungover, it's disgusting. Then he proceeded to give me his briefcase and allowed me to inject somebody, which is pretty wild.
That whole story is wild.
Mental story. What would somebody else do in that position? I don't know. It was grim. Thought I'd share that with you.
Can I be honest? Of every time I've ever felt unwell, eating my own vomit has not crossed my mind. No, I would have done it in a sock. I would have. Oh no, don't.
That was great. I would have started.
That's Lucinda. That is a remarkable story.
We rate you, Lucinda.
You'd have to pay me serious money to consider eating my own vomit.
I think your car would matter less to me than me eating that.
Yeah.
Like anything in that moment would be, I'd throw that vomit out. Also, injecting patients after that is mental.
That's really niche. Like, I can barely do my own fucking eyeliner after a heavy night, let alone go and inject someone.
We were saying this the other day, weren't we, though? She said she was young because when I was young, I could go out, not even sleep.
The bounce back. No, I know. We were just talking about this. It takes me a good week to recover from a hangover.
Yeah.
I had a similar incident once. Actually, it's not even similar. I went through this really bizarre phase. I think I'd obviously overdone it drinking rosé. And you know, you get like rosé sick. And so I think I'd done a whole summer of just drinking rosé. And I'd gone to see a mate. Anyway, I got in the taxi and I felt, I'd probably only had like 2 glasses. So I know I wasn't hammered.
Oh, 2 glasses?
2 glasses. Anyway, I was in the back of this cab. And I was like, I'm actually going to be sick. Oh my God. Picked up my handbag and went,
no.
Anyway, I obviously washed it all out and forgot about it. And then I was filming Made in Chelsea a few days later and I was like, I can smell sick. And then I had flashbacks of me vomiting in this fucking handbag that I'm holding. And I was like, oh my God, it's disgusting. Oh my God. So that's the only experience I've ever had with vomiting into something.
I think I once was on a tube and there was a guy sat opposite me and he had a backpack and he was so drunk, like that.
Oh no, don't.
And then I saw him just open his backpack and puke into it and close it.
Oh,
and
there's something rough about.
I'm sure he went home and forgot he'd put that in his bag.
No.
He had his laptop in there.
Vomit, that is too much.
I actually can't stand vomit.
No, I can't. If someone's being sick, it makes me gag. I don't like when people sneeze. Like I get very on edge about that.
I think if you're going to vomit, go to another building.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you.
Oh God.
But I think we need more of that. We need more Lucindas.
Oh yeah, we do. That was so
funny though. You didn't know where that was going, and I've heard that before, and I forgot that she ate it.
Oh.
Also, sorry, him just going, sorry, I had garlic this morning. If someone else in my car and then ate it, I'd be like, you're sacked. Don't even come back.
That is hilarious.
Hey ho though.
And that is all we've got time for this week. And any more stories, please send them in to contact@privatepartspodcast.com and we will read them out. Thank you, Nat.
Whee!